Hey everybody, today is May 25th and I'm feeling a little bit loopy, not really, but I was like talking for 5 or 10 minutes to the camera and I didn't hit record, so now I get to start over again. Anyways, so that's just the fun of camera work, right? Have you never thought you were recording and weren't? And so that was me just now. Anyways, today is May 25th and we have the puppies up here at the pavilion and they're just playing around, having a great time. It's great weather. We don't need our little patio heaters on, but you'll see that in the background of me here. And I just have to say, I love our place. Love it, love it. We live at the summit of the ridge in this area. We're at some of the highest elevations for this region. We're about 1,300 feet elevation. And for all those Rocky Mountain people, don't laugh at me. I'm from the Rocky Mountains and I know 1,300 feet is nothing. But we're at the summit for this area. And so we can look out across the treetops and look out across the ridges and see some amazing scenery at different times of the year. We can look across this way and we have cliffs and rock features that we can see. This time of year when the leaves are on, you can't hardly see more than 100 yards ahead of you. But I love it here. We love our land. We love where we live and love to share it with people and have people come and visit. And so we're looking forward to having a few families come and pick up their pups and select them. But I have to say a few things in preparation for this pick video that apply to our land and some of the things that we do here and why we do them. And that is, our house is behind me, down from us 200 feet. And I'm not talking about like 200 feet away, I'm talking about like 200 feet down. And so it's much farther away, but elevation drop is like 200 feet elevation drop. So our driveway from the public road to our house, our driveway is like 3/4 of a mile long to traverse that 200 feet of topography elevation gain, elevation loss to our house. And so it would be completely a disaster to try to herd 10 puppies up the driveway, and just walk them up here. So every time we come up here with puppies, we actually drive up here. And so we drive up here either in the side-by-side, or this time I've got the Honda. We load the pups in crates and put them in the car and take them for a drive. It's just a little short drive. It's a great conditioning experience for the puppies to hop in and go for a ride and end up in a play scenario where they just love it up here. The puppies absolutely have a ball. So it's a great opportunity for us to give the puppies a car experience and a driving experience. We drive really slow, take it easy, so it's not traumatizing to them, traumatic. And then we end up here. And so one of the reasons why we bring them up here for the pick video is, as of right now, this was actually the first time the pups have been up here. So this was my chance, our chance to put together some of our observations of the puppies and their personalities. So we wanted to know, what did the puppies do when we put them in a completely new environment? And these pups have literally been up here for just a few minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes at the tops. And so this is what they act like, in a completely new environment and different area. We wanted to see, which ones are more confident, which ones are super, like looking for mama, basically which ones are the mama's girls and the mama's boys, which ones are more open to exploring and being adventurous in a new environment. It tells us a few things about their personalities that we wouldn't otherwise know without bringing them up here to a completely new environment and exposing them to a place that's totally different. So that's why I share with you why we're here at the pavilion doing the pick video, is because it's part of our analysis of personalities and dispositions of the puppies. We want to know more about them, and so we have to give them different experiences to be able to decide more about the puppy's dispositions. So with that in mind, we'll continue to let these pups play and have a good time, and then we'll share some of our observations here in just a little bit. So we're gonna let them do their thing here for a minute, and we'll get ready to do a little observation video here shortly. Okay, I think I've got things situated to where we can start our pick video. We've got the pups here. They're starting to wind down and mellow out. I've taken their weight and got everything updated on our list as far as their growth patterns go. I've got the camera out so I can see what I'm doing on the GoPro, and hopefully get you guys some good shots of these pups up close and as close to in person as we can get. So I'm gonna put my notes over here by the camera, and hopefully the dog won't eat my homework, and we can get through this video and share as much as we can about these pups. So I'm just going to start at the top of the list and go through these guys. So they were born April 20th, and today's May 25th. They're just at that 5-week-old mark, and we're going to start with Miss Pink. At birth, she was 1.19 pounds. Right now, she's 4.56 pounds, which is kind of the middle of the girls as far as size, current size goes. And so this is Miss Pink, and just an adorable pup. She's gonna fall asleep in my hands. Look at that. They've been playing and playing, so they're ready to tuck her out and relax for a minute here. So she had the slight groin marking. At the moment, it's not even visible, and her back left toe markings are still evident. Her back left is predominantly marked. Her back right, very slightly marked. It's kind of a frosted toe, and her front paws are clear. So personality-wise, she's a little bit more assertive. Miss Pink and Miss Teal like to assert themselves, and out of the two, they're kind of neck and neck as far as the girls go. I wouldn't say either one is the leader of the pack yet, but I think if they could, they would, between Miss Teal and Miss Pink. And so, and when I say personality traits, I need to qualify this a little bit. This is not a assignment, I will call that, of their future disposition. This is our observation of where they're at right now with this dynamic with their litter mates. And so this dynamic on their personalities will change over time. As pups go home and things like that, other pups will assume different positions and kind of take different roles. So that's kind of my qualifier for personality observations right now, is things change with what we call the pecking order when it comes to I think I lost my connection here. I think I'm still recording, but I can't see it on the camera. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna pause this and get my camera fixed on my phone. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that interruption. So when it comes to puppy dispositions and personalities, that changes over time, and we tell families that your puppy will change disposition when they get to your home and figure out the pecking order in your home. So all the people in your home need to assert themselves and become an alpha or a leader role with their puppy, so that your puppy knows who's the boss, basically, who gets to call the shots and who gets to make the decisions, because your puppy will assert themselves at home and want to impose their opinions about things. And so you need to kind of take that leadership role with all the other members of your household, so your puppy kind of knows where they fit in your home. And so, done lovingly and gently, Vizslas respond very well with alpha training. So that is our kind of qualifier as far as disposition and personality observations. The other thing we want to mention is, in a good breeding program, there's not going to be a huge wide range of personalities. So when I say one is more assertive and one is more middle, or one is more reserved, that bell curve as far as personalities goes is not super wide. So these pups are very close in personalities, but they have established their pecking order, and so there's not a drastic difference when it comes to the differences of those. So Miss Pink got to be our Personality 101 class, and look how cute she is. She just fell asleep right in my hands. So that is Miss Pink, and next we're going to go to Miss Teal. And I just want to pause for a moment. We've got these guys all tuckered out. So we've got Mr. Green, Mr. Brown, Miss Pink, Mr. Gray, Mr. Red, Blue, Purple. Actually, we ran out of dot ribbons, so Purple's got a solid ribbon. There's Teal back there, and then Mr. Yellow. And we got Mr. Orange back over here. So I believe that's everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, that's everybody. So this little chance, we try to get them tuckered out for this video so that we can kind of lay them side by side and have them holding still, so that you can see the difference in their coat colors. And we've got a little bit of a shadow with my little stand here. I'll move that a little bit, but you can see some of their coat colors. They're actually quite even on, oh, Mr. Orange. Look, he felt left out. He decided to come hang out. Oh, Mr. Orange, good puppy. So you can see their coat colors. These guys are actually very close in coat color. I would say out of the girls, Miss Teal is a little bit darker. And out of the boys, Mr. Brown is a little bit darker. And everybody else is very, very close. We don't have a really light one out of the group. Sometimes we'll see a little bit more of a lighter color come through, but not in this litter. So Fern in general is a little bit darker than some of the others, and Cliff is kind of middle colored. So anyways, we'll take that moment and give you a little color overview, and we'll get back to doing the individual pups now. Let's see if I can put the camera in a good spot again. Okay, Miss Teal, you're up next. Sorry to bother you and wake you up. Miss Teal at birth was 1.27 pounds. Right now she's 5.35 pounds, so she's the bigger girl of the girls, and right at the top end of the spectrum for size for this litter. She has her very slight chest marking, if you can see that. I'll try to point her up. It's right there. You can barely see that. She has a very slight groin marking that I cannot see right now with this coat. She's kind of in between coats, between her newborn coat and a puppy coat. She has her very slight back left markings on her back left toes. And then a little update, she has a very few back right toes. I don't think we noted that at birth, but it's more visible right now. So she's got a few back right toes that are marked. So Pink and Teal are a little bit more assertive personalities, and Purple is the middle personality of the girls. So we don't have kind of a more reserved one of the girls. They're kind of right there at the top end of the spectrum with personality traits. So Miss Purple at birth was the smallest at 0.9 pounds, and she continues to be kind of proportionately smaller at 4.18 pounds right now. She has her very slight neck marking that honestly I have a hard time seeing that right now, but her chest marking, she's still got her stripe. So I'll try to hold her up. I know, I won't drop you. Sorry, girl. She's got her little chest stripe, that's fun. And then very slight marking on her groin. I can't see that right now with this puppy coat. And then she's got her heavily marked back left toes and her slightly marked back right. And she is a middle of the road personality. So by middle of the road, that kind of means that out of the group, she's both dishing it out and taking it at times, but not dishing it out as frequently as some of the others. And when they go through their rough play and things like that, and when mom's around and things like that, some will back off more than the others. And so Miss Purple is kind of a middle of the road. She takes it and she gives it out in turn, but more often than not, she's backing off first. So Mr. Brown is the first of the boys, and I'll bring him front and center. And so this is Mr. Brown. We've got him at birth at 1.14 pounds, and he's 5.18 pounds. So kind of middle of the pack as far as current size goes for the boys. And he was basically solid. He's got a very slight groin marking. I can barely see a few light hairs there. And he's got a very slightly marked, I'm going to call a slightly marked back left toe. Wasn't apparent at birth, but we can see that now with this longer color. And then more of a back right toe, couple of toes here for Mr. Brown. So Mr. Brown, out of the boys and this whole litter, he's the one that's a little bit more reserved. So he's the one that dishes it out the least and takes it the most, and then also kind of backs off. He does still throw his weight around and wants to assert himself at times, but out of the group, he's the one that's a little bit more reserved. And so that's him as far as personality goes. Next, we're on to Mr. Red. Okay, Mr. Red, you're next. So this is Mr. Red, and he at birth was 1.16 pounds, and right now he's 4.56 pounds. So out of the boys, Mr. Red is the smallest. And he had at birth, and now he's still got the chest dot, if you can see that. And I kind of called it a semicolon when he was born, but it's got the dot and then a little spot off to the side of it. It's got that going on. So he had the heavily marked groin. We can see some of those hairs right now. And then he's got his heavily marked back left toe and heavily marked back right toe. So his toes, really fun to see on him as he's running around. They kind of highlight his movements. And so on his front paws, we are seeing just a couple of light hairs on his front right paw, and there might be a couple on his front left. So there's just, it's actually really hard to show on the camera. You might be able to see some of those. When we talk about these new markings on their toes, there's just ever so slightly few hairs that we can see that are a little bit lighter marked. So Mr. Red, he is a middle of the road pup. So he dishes it out, he takes it, and confidence wise, he's middle of the road. And so just a great little personality as well. So Mr. Blue is next. Okay, Mr. Blue, sorry, I gotta be the bad guy and wake you up. So Mr. Blue, he has, well, let me start with his weight. He was 1.23 pounds at birth, and now he's 5.24 pounds. Not quite the biggest, but up there on the list on the boys. And so he had his ever so slight neck marking, which I can kind of still get a hint of that. If you can see that there, still there. You probably get a better shot of it at their birth video. But he's got his neck marking there. Still clear on the chest marking. And then his toes at birth we thought were clear, but I am seeing a few light hairs on his back left. So Mr. Blue, as far as personality, he's a little bit more assertive. So out of the boys, Mr. Blue and Mr. Green, I think, are wanting to be the leader. Neither one has fully established themselves as such, but they're kind of vying for that position. So Blue and Green are kind of the more assertive of the boys. So that is Mr. Blue. Next we'll go with Mr. Green, since I've already told you about his personality. Mr. Green, at birth, he was 1.25 pounds, and right now he's 5.18 pounds, so middle as far as size goes. He had the neck marking, which we can still get a hint of there under his collar, and then on his chest he's got the stripe there, if you can see that. And then he had the heavily marked groin, and we can still see that with this puppy coat. And then he's got his heavily marked back left and back right toes. And then personality wise, he is also a little bit more assertive, a little bit more confident amongst his litter mates. So that's Mr. Green. Next we'll go with Mr. Gray. Here we go, Mr. Gray. Sorry, I get a bug you, wake you up. So Mr. Gray, at birth, he was one of the smaller pups at 1.03 pounds, and right now he's 4.78 pounds. So out of the boys, he's the smaller one still, and he had his neck marking, which if you can see that, still there, and he had his chest, which also had a stripe. If I can get him to cooperate there, if you can see that. So he's got the little stripe there. He also had the more heavily marked groin, and it doesn't seem to be as heavily marked now, but as he grows and that puppy coat fills in, then that may come back. He's got his more heavily marked back left toes and back right toes, and then on his front left, I'm just seeing like 4 or 5 white hairs on his front left toe. So there might be a few white hairs on the front toes there. So he's, personality wise, he is middle disposition. So gray, yellow, and orange are kind of middle of the road personalities disposition wise. So out of the boys, we've got Mr. Brown, that's more reserved. The ones that are kind of middle are red, gray, yellow, and orange. And then Mr. Blue and Mr. Green are a little bit more assertive. So that is Mr. Gray. So next we'll do Mr. Yellow. So Mr. Yellow here, at birth he was 1.03 pounds, and he has, excuse me, I was on the wrong line. That was Gray. Yellow is 1.30 pounds, and so he was a little bit bigger of the boys at birth, and continues to be so. He's 5.37 pounds. He had the very slight chest dot. If you can see that, as I tilt him, right there, it's still there. And then he had the very slight groin marking. I can barely see that now. And then very slight back left and back right toes marked. And then he, personality-wise, is a little bit middle of the road. So that is Mr. Yellow. And then we've got Mr. Orange to finish this up over here. He's last but not least on this group. And so Mr. Orange at birth, he was one of the bigger pups at 1.23 pounds. And right now he's 5.37 pounds. So Yellow and Orange are tied for kind of top weight out of this litter. And he's got his very slight neck marking, which as I tilt him back and look at it, I can get the hint of it. There, I know, you just want to go to sleep. You don't want me to pull your head back. I know, huh? I'm sorry. So he's got his very slight neck marking. And then right now we had him noted with a very slight groin marking, but I can't see anything there. And then on his toes, I can see that he's got very slightly marked back left and back right toes. So that is Mr. Orange. And so personality-wise, he is one of the middle of the road pups. So that kind of rounds out the list and observations of all these pups. And we've got them here kind of piled here at my feet. So I'm gonna spread them out for a second and then get you guys an overview of all these guys once more. So you can see colors. We've got Mr. Red, Mr. Gray, Mr. Yellow, down